This is episode 180 of the Gold Squadron podcast. I'm your host, Dion Morales, and today I'm joined by Marcel. Was a good ride, Manzano.
Yeah, with you at the wheel and everyone else helping you out. Really good ride these last couple months.
Will, this is where it turns, Hagwood.
And it wasn't the mighty fleet, wasn't some new fancy weapon. It was an aggressor with a dorsal turret.
And Ryan, the lore master, is doing research. Staniszewski.
Yeah, I think I might have an interesting stat. I'm just currently counting it up.
Fantastic. As for announcements and news, we are less than 24 hours out from the Galactic Championship. We had it yesterday. It was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. Congratulations to the champion, Charlie Clute. Lots of awesome games. If you're a Twitch subscriber, you can watch them right away, but we're going to start getting them uploaded to YouTube starting on Wednesday, so you guys can start watching those matchups. But it was absolutely fantastic. Congratulations to everybody. We're going to be going through lists and all that here in a little bit, but want to remind you before we jump into that our podcasts are brought to you commercial free on YouTube by our patrons. You guys are the ones that make it happen. Patrons have access to Patreon-only channels on our Discord, and depending on what level you are, you even can get quarterly gifts. The next wave of gifts features a Republic Assault. Go to patreon.com/Gold Squadron to become a patron today. All right, guys, let's jump into it. Coruscant, are you ready? Are you ready to hit the hyperdrive with me? There's very, very good sound effects. I know I'm the best. It's fine. All right, we're starting here at 32. Now, one of the things we got to recognize going into this is that this event, going into it, we had two new releases. We had the Heralds of Hope, and we had the TIE Brute. They released a week before the beginning of Coruscant, which made them legal according to the Gold Squadron Premier Play rules. And we didn't see the TIE Brute too much. It was out there. It will appear a couple of times as we go through here. Heralds of Hope also made an appearance, and we'll talk some more about that and have some discussions as we go. I'll start here with Matiha, starting at number 32 after the cut. Bringing a resistance list, we got Kaz in the Fireball with Heroic R5, Lieutenant Bastion picking up those target locks after those enemy ships are taking damage, Jessica Pava staying in that swarm, getting those rerolls, Rose and Finn with just Heroic, so light Finn there, bringing a resistance squad. I mean, that's just efficiency jousting type of squad. Do you guys think like Kaz probably was like a flanker, didn't stay in the set? I haven't played too much Fireball and didn't get to see this guy play.
With his slam, that speed, you might as well try to get on the flank while everybody else could just like one forward and stay in that forward block.
I will say though, if you think you can outjoust your opponent with that list, Kaz is just a good knife fighter and jouster still as well. You don't have to flank if you think you clearly have the advantage.
Mm-hmm. Love it. William, how dare you shoot quadjumper lasers at my face? How dare you? I saw that in chat.
What? You were shooting back some red lasers.
Oh, it's me. Pew, 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 pew. All right. Marcel, go ahead and take Brian Lurg.
All right, Brian Lurg, Galactic Empire 196 with Sunterfell, Predator, the new TIE Aggressor, talking about them not showing up, shows up here with,
TIE
I
Brute.
can't pronounce it.
Brute.
TIE Brute, yeah.
Leighton Dre.
I'm Aggressor then. With Leighton Dre, Sync Laser Cannon, and Targeting Assist, and Onyx TIE Brute as well. Actually, two of them the same way, and then passive sensors, homing missile, fifth brother, coming in at 196. So The brutes aren't bad. They're not bad though. They still have to find the home, but they're definitely not a bad ship. If you're I would compare them to the B-wing, and I think they're a step up above the B-wing. So
now looking at this list, it seems like you kind of have a balance between the B-wings are the bruisers in the list, right? They kind of have that, like, we're going to go straight into the fight. They're essentially jousters. And then you got Soontir and Fifth Brother able to nibble at the sides. I honestly, I think this list is pretty cool. I'd be interested to try something like that. Brian Lurg coming in the top 32. What do you guys thoughts on Leighton in this list? Do you think you take Leighton just because you had the points available? Does she provide?
Yeah, I mean, Leighton's ability works on himself, so that's already some value to get your own reroll, and then on top of that, you could get it also for your allies. So, I mean, my original thought with Leighton was to try and put it in a swarm type archetype, but I'm finding that Leighton tends to be an easy first target. So maybe putting Leighton in a 4 to 5 ship list where you can take the benefit for yourself, but also not always force the benefit for your friends. But when it's there, it's really good.
All right, we'll continue going through the top 32. Another resistance list showing up here, Ryan.
Yep, we have Michael Turner with not the exact same, but a popular archetype of Rey and 2 RZ2 A-Wings. Rey having Corsella, Rose, Finn, Contraband, and Rey's Millennium Falcon. Very common heavy Rey that we've been seeing. And then Zizi and Tally, both with heroic optics and not prockets, going with cluster missiles at 192. Cluster missiles obviously cheaper than prockets, may have decided to opt in for the bid and have a little bit of swarm tech. Worked out well enough to get top 32. I'm probably not a big proponent of block-based missiles on A-Wings though, but I can see it works.
We saw Michael on stream one time, and it seemed like his prerogative with those cluster missiles, it wasn't even to have the double shot. It was simply to have a 3-dice attack sometimes at range 2. That being the only reason. Mind you, I could
imagine in the situation where you were going to want to boost, but you'd have to rotate to the front to get a shot. Why not target lock boost then and just shoot them cluster missiles? If you're not going to have a token anyways.
Just gives that little bit of flexibility there, right? Yeah, I mean that's the idea there. Just something a little different, not common. And again, you don't need to have that mobile arc, that turret arc to the front in order to fire missiles out the front. The missiles only go out the front, so you can have that during the back. Maybe if you have enemies on both sides, right? You kind of get to choose where you're going to be shooting, have that flexibility. All right. Next, Doug Howe. Take it, Will.
Oh, this gets me. Because Doug Howe took me out of the tournament. He was flying a 194 Soontir Fell, Whisper, Soontir Fell, Predator, Whisper, Passive Sensors, Fifth Brother, and Seventh Sister with supernatural reflexes and ion missiles. So definitely what I've called silver spoon aces, which is just I have all the things. You can't have them because I have them. So everybody's modifying.
Time out. That is I've never heard you say that name. That's fantastic. Silver spoon aces. That's amazing.
Yeah. We're just like handed all the. Hey, would you like all these things? Would you like to reposition and have tokens and rerolls? Okay. But yeah. So this is a hard-hitting squad. Seventh Sister, though only on initiative 4, super maneuverable with those supernatural reflexes. Still gets a 3rd die from the ion missiles. Whisper. We haven't seen a big splash from the passive since his fifth brother did go up a chunk of points, up to 76 now, but still as hard hitting as it ever was. And obviously, he's got a cheap Soontir in there, so if you're distracted by the Seven Sister and Whisper, Soontir can get on the easy flank. And
start nibbling.
yeah, Doug actually took me out in the 5th round. He was my 3rd loss of the day, and we had it was something like 35, 40 minutes left in the game. We had 4 ships on the board and about 5 or 6 health. Everybody was hurt, limping, and we almost went in the last round right before time was called. My Grand killed his Whisper in a final salvo, or simultaneous fire, if that makes sense. So we played a grueling half hour of just trying to out ace each other. It was definitely the best game I had all day, though I did end up losing the final salvo. What can you do?
You know, the idea of having supernatural reflexes on Seven Sister, I find it really easy because her ability is so force-based, right? Being able to spend both those charges to get a crack shot-like ability. I wouldn't have thought to even put supernatural on her because you usually want to spend the force, but of course, we talk about it all the time, right? Flexibility. Having the flexibility at I4, maybe versus, I don't know what else is playing around at I4. He does have a 194 bid. Maybe he brought that for the Nantex. Maybe that was a thought going into it, thinking that we might still see that.
He's got Soontir and Whisper, so might as well bid. All these people need some sort of bid at 4, 5, and 6, so get as big as one as you can. I really just like the personal touch of ion missiles. So Seven Sisters ability does only work on primary, but if you're shooting ion missiles, 3 times a game or whatever, it's not a big deal.
All right, so pretty cool list there. Doug, good friend of the show as well. Top-notch guy. Now, Mark Grauberg brought the list that most people were talking about going into the event, and that was 4 Kashyyyk Defenders and AP5 at 200 points. No upgrades here, just essentially pure efficiency. You got 4 ships with 180-degree arcs. They'll always focus. They don't usually reinforce. And using that for offense, of course, you have AP5 there to coordinate as needed, and the one that's likely to take damage is probably going to get coordinated, that reinforce. Yeah, it is a good, efficient list. It's boring to play, I'll be completely honest, in my opinion. but you know what? If you're trying to go for the W, that's where the fun is you're trying to go for the win. Didn't quite work out for Mark. That is the flying carpet. All right, Marcel. Kester Smith with the first order.
All right, Kester Smith. Flying Hollow, TIE Interceptor, Muse. But he's got Proud Tradition Pattern Analyzer, Muse with Proud Tradition Pattern Analyzer, Lieutenant Rivas, and 3 FOs. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this was my either it might have been my only loss in Swiss. I know I played them. I don't know. I played 3 different FO lists, so I beat 2 and I lost to 1. So I might have lost to this one. And it's a really solid list. You've got Hollow, who's good, and then you've got 5 other FOs. So it's a 6-ship list, and they can start. They hurt. It's when you have 6 ships and 3 agility on all of them. I think we've seen that they're just really tough to kill. So it's a pretty solid list. Again, they tend to struggle with the damage output, but while they might struggle with the damage output, they are ultra defensive, especially with having Hollow being able to toss tokens around to the ones that need it, and things like that. So it's a really solid list, and I think it's a little bit more fun than probably some of the other at least for my personal play style, than some of the other 5-6 ship lists that have to fly in formation a little bit more. These Upsilons, and they allow you to be in more places. It's actually, they encourage you to be in more places to get some blocks in and give Hollow a wider circle where he can toss tokens around too.
Yeah, I mean, because Hollow's ability is more than just an offensive tool, right? You can use it as a support ship. Hollow has that flexibility. Now, one of the bad sides, though, is Hollow by herself struggles, which we did see in the stream game. I actually don't remember if Kest won or not, but as those TIE fighters start to disappear off the table, it becomes harder and harder to have that flexibility of moving those tokens around. But still, obviously, having the pattern analyzer and Proud Tradition, if you guys didn't catch that, that means on a K turn, Hollow able to get the action from pattern analyzer, from doing the red maneuver, and then also the focus from Proud Tradition, and then passing off that token. I mean, it's really, really solid. Lots of flexibility. We talk about it all the time. Lots of flexibility there. More First Order. First Order all over the place. Take it, Ryan.
All right, we have Mario Laredo running the, I guess, kind of popular now. It's one of the more common first order lists we've seen since the Xi Shuttle came out. Is Kylo, and then Commander Malorus with Terex, and 3 cadets. So just the Malorus backing up, making those cadets hit a little more punchy. Get Kylo to the end game, and Kylo cleans up as necessary, flanks where he needs to, and so on and so forth.
That's just. I feel like this is just a list that just makes sense. Is to get something to just mow through through what you need on the other side, and then you got an end game ship. It's
I actually
good.
think, like, so on top of it being competitive, I think if I were to show a new player a cool first order list, it'd probably be this one. Like, here's Kylo, he's your main character of the first order. Here's a shuttle, just, you know, so you can get a feel for what a medium base is and support things can act like, and then here are just some basic typhos. Have fun.
That's a great point. I love that. Yes. That's a good starter squad. And we get an appearance of aggressors, Will.
Yeah. This has become a pretty standard list because it just fits so well. And that's Captain Faroth. Who gets an evade conversion if you don't have any green tokens. With Ruthless, Admiral Sloan, and Hull upgrade at 60 points. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Sinar Specialist Aggressors with dorsal turrets. And I just, you know what? As this, people have strong opinions, I think, of this list. But it just warms my heart to see literally some of the worst things in the game. Captain Faroth and TIE aggressors and dorsal turrets. But man, you put them in the right upgrade, you give them the right upgrade with that Sloan, and you fly them well enough. They can actually do some work.
It's a perfect storm, right? The dorsal turret came down enough in price for this archetype to really work, and you got extra points to keep your Sloan carrier alive. Have that hull upgrade there. It is shown to be really, really good. The challenge in it that we've noticed is you have to manage Captain Faroth the distance. Now, of course, Sloan has a big range. It has 0 to 3, but because the speed of the adaptive ailerons on the Reaper, you could find yourself either out of the fight, not being part of the fight, which almost lost Charlie the championship game, which he flew this exact same archetype. We'll talk about it when we get to number 1.
Spoilers.
But if you manage it well, that is a boon to your gameplay for sure.
Yeah, Reapers are not the easiest ship to fly. They are big and they fly. They try to fly fast, and it just is awkward. It's an awkward ship for sure.
All right. Kenneth Lyon, another first order list, a classic, black pointy to red pointy ratio, hollow, and 3 Sinar Jameis engineers. Classic first order, fly fast and go. Just go. Really, really efficient. We've talked about this list before. Kenneth Lyon there in the top 32. Next, we get the first appearance of somebody who we thought we would see more of, Marcel.
Yeah, Enrico, how do you, Cup? Is it just like Cup?
I think it's Coupe, but it's called him Eno. It's Eno.
Okay, Eno. Yeah, and I got to play Eno in the top 32. Awesome guy. Liked him a lot. So he was flying Boba Fett in the Fire Spray with Lone Wolf, Jamming Beam, Darth Maul, Proximity Mines, Rigged Cargo Chute, Stealth Device, and Slave 1. That is a very chunky 124 point Boba Fett. Also, Dengar, flying Crack Shot, Jamming Beam, Deadman Switch, Punishing 1, and R5P8. Opting not to go with the Dengar version that has the Han Solo and Contraband Cybernetics, which I thought was a very interesting choice, going Deadman Switch instead of Contraband Cybernetic. But with 124 points invested into Boba Fett, I don't think he was planning on keeping Dengar alive. Very often just come in, land some shots with the rerolls, probably 3 times with R5P8, and then go out with a bang. And he did catch 3 of my A-Wings with that Deadman Switch, so it triggered it. It got 3 damage off when he died. So really solid list coming in with a very sturdy bid of 190 points. Very good list, very well flown.
And we continue here. Sebastian Demers we talked about it with same as Mark Grauberg, the 4 Kashyyyk Defenders, Ozatucks with AP5, super solid. And now we get to Bartosz out of Poland. Take it, Ryan.
Bartosz running the new version in his mind using the 5 A-Wings. We have the new Sefton Vanek with Crackshot Heroic Advanced Optics. We got Tally with Heroic Crackshot Advanced Optics. We got Greer with just Heroic Advanced Optics. Merrill with just Intimidation. And a Blue Squadron with Heroic and Advanced Optics. So the 2 new pilots being Sefton and Merrill are in there. I think people are going to come to find that Sefton's there, as we talked about prior, because it's an I-5 A-Wing. And then Merrill with that Intimidation is such a devastating combo if that block is achieved. Because in most situations, if Merrill gets a block on something, it probably has Merrill also in bullseye, which means friendly ships are going to be shooting at it with -2 agility. That's
good stuff. Merrill's so good. it's so good. I expect those points to go up.
Why do you get one of the best abilities for the A-Wing for the same cost as the cheapest chassis? Why?
So that you buy the $50 box?
You got me there. FFG.
I mean, their business. They got to make their money. They got to make their money.
Fair enough.
All right. Next, we go to Timo Hetzel flying another Imperial List here. Take it, Will.
Oh, yeah, it's me. I was reflecting on A-Wings for a second. Timo's flying a triple ace Galactic Empire squad at 198. That's it's Whisper with Juke and Stealth Device. Darth Vader with Fire Control System, no Afterburners, and Soontir Fel with Predator. So a real stripped down version to get both I-6s and Whisper in there. But Whisper is rocking on that Stealth Device. So in game, if she's still holding on to it, could be a hard ship to pin down. I don't know what to think about Vader with no afterburners. We keep saying that, like, oh, Vader needs afterburners.
Wait. Says the guy who got into the top 4 in Mustafar with Vader with no afterburners?
Let's be all right. Give me what's the average round count right now? 12, 14, 15 maybe?
It's probably, I'd say it's probably around 13.
13, okay. So in every game of 13 rounds, you have 11 rounds of Darth Vader not using afterburners. You know what I mean?
That's
Like,
true.
I like it because I do dumb stuff like fly through rocks and just goofy things like that. That's why I like it. Fly through a gas cloud, boost, take all your actions. Who cares? But you don't need it. If you're flying Vader right, all you got to do is just one bank focus lock. One bank focus lock. So turns out, what I have been noticing though, is that people have been favoring Soontir more as the ace. And I think it is because of the I-6. That's why I reached for him as well. I was flying Darth Vader and Soontir, just because I was afraid of Boba. To be honest with you, I thought Boba would make a lot bigger splash. And my anything that wasn't a 6 for an ace couldn't fight him.
All right, so there, the Empire making another splash with a classic archetype. Classic archetype there. Next, we're still in that top 32, by the way. I'll tell you guys when we get to the 16. Brendan Osman Demon taking another First Order squad. Guys, a lot of First Order. Lieutenant Revis, 4 Epsilon Squadron cadets. TN3465. You've also heard us call her Tina. And then Commander Morrissey. Is this the one that people are calling malware? No?
Well, so
yes,
the base
no.
of it, yes, 6 Typhos and Malris. Most people have done Terex and all cadets.
Got it. All right, so a variation on malware then. Malris, and I mean, Malris is there to provide those rerolls on the blanks. You got so many ships, the strain that you get from Malris becomes less consequential when you have so many ships hitting hard, especially if they're getting 2 hits, 3 hits at range 1. If you're starting to mow down your enemy ships, the strain doesn't matter if nobody's shooting back at you. Or think about this: if you have 6 TIE fighters out there taking strain, and your opponent only has 3 ships, it's only going to affect 3 or maybe even 1 shot because they're going into 1 focus firing or something like that. All right, Marcel, take Nicholas God.
Nicholas the God took very fun list that it looks like. Tirani Kulda with Snapshot and Wrecked R5 TK. Torkel Mux with Moldy Crow. Captain Jostero and Black Sun Enforcer Sty Viper just naked. Jostero and the Black Sun naked. Torkel is essentially naked because it's all just got the title. So very straightforward list that requires very precision flying to get everything to work, specifically the snapshot. I mean, lining up snapshots with medium base is not an easy task. So super. Yeah, I think this is probably out of the top 32. This is one of my favorite top 32 appearances. Really like this one.
Now,
It's actually extremely similar to what he brought to last year's Worlds, FFG Worlds, because that's what I lost to in top 32 was against him. He just didn't have a Star Viper. He had, I believe, was another Kirax with some more upgrades around the list.
I was just about to mention that. Now, I will say, Nicholas put on he has flown in a lot of different lists in our different GSP events, starting from Space Jam. Really creative list builder, likes to fly these weird different things. And I know that we're in the top 32. We only have one other pilot who was in the top 32. Then we're about to get to 16. But Nicholas went 6-0 in Swiss with this list. All right, so some people are going to look at this and say scum jank. Well, this scum jank went 6-0 in Swiss in a stacked field. Now, the kryptonite of this squad is what he ended up facing in the top 32. His first match was where he lost, which are Resistance A-Wings. And it's a bad matchup. The back arcs there are a bad matchup. But Nicholas God went 6-0 in Swiss. Absolutely fantastic list. All right. Next is XY. I forgot where we are.
Yeah, I did the last one, so it would be Ryan.
Yeah, I think it's me. All right, XY actually saw this when he was on stream at least once, I think in Swiss. He brought a variation of the Scum Seek Swarm, but this time backed up by Drea Renthal, making a reappearance with the standard dorsal turret, adding in shield upgrade and swarm tactics to boost up one of the friendly ships, which a few of them have, like 2 of the Seeks, they're all cartel spacers. 2 of them have tractor beam, 2 of them have auto blasters, and 1 of them has heavy laser cannon. So ideally, I saw him do it a couple times. You swarm tactics, probably one of the tractor beam ones, or if you think one of the ships are going to potentially be initiative killed, you do it to that one. But you generally want the tractor one to go first, position something where you need it to be, and let the rest of everybody lay in the fire. I believe it was a game against triple bounty hunter type scum with Dengar and was it Nim and Bosk?
Yes.
And Nim threw a bomb out, did a lot of a solid amount of them took a damage. Tried to barrel roll the back away, and tractor beam just pulled him right back into a heavy laser cannon shot.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic. XY, while again lost in the top 32 match, was another one of our undefeateds with a squad that most people would not have guessed we would see. I mean, Drea, we know, is good. We just haven't had anybody use her in this way with this M3A swarm, at least not to this effect. Going, again, 6-0 in Swiss. And I forgot to mention Brendan Osman Demon, who was playing this malware variation, also 6-0 in Swiss and lost in that first round. But really cool, just being able to see these great players play something a little bit different than what you would expect and doing really well. Obviously, they're sad because they didn't get to go far. And by the way, a shout out to XY in the chat. We love you, man. But yeah, we super cool list. Super cool list. Now, we're about to jump into the top 16. Before we do that, though, I want to take a pause. I want to take a pause and talk about some interesting stats about the lists. Now, I did see somebody ask the question, where's the Republic? You guys haven't said any Republic lists, okay? Well, I'll tell you where the Republic is. The best performance on a Republic list was in 68th place. 68th until you get your first Republic list. And that Republic list went 3-3. Okay. Went 3-3. And I'll go ahead and pull it up right now. And that was a Warthog list. Warthog with an ARC 170 and 4 V19s in 68th place. I'm sure some of you guys were wondering about that, but I just wanted to put it out there if you were wondering. We can answer some more questions later on other faction stuff, but I wanted to get that out there. Out of the number of invites we sent out 192. 188 of them were responded to, and were in the event, and we got some absolutely amazing data here. Let's continue into our top 16. Actually, sorry. Before we do that, why do we think the Republic disappeared?
I think someone in chat had an interesting quote saying, it was a Taco 550, Republic died for 7B regens sins. It might be pretty apt. I still think they have some solid pieces. The lat might be a little fresh still. I haven't seen a ton of people explore the lat supporting Jedi or 2 Jedi in something, whatever combination. So I bet Marcel's taking a couple shots at some things, but it's I guess I don't know if we've seen enough experimentation. Is the lat going to really shine when other things come out in the near future with the V-wing or the Jedi Interceptor? I don't know.
Yeah, I think I did try it a few different ways, and even at Mustafar, I took it. Missed the cut with it, and I think it just comes down to the like Dion said, or like somebody said, like the Delta 7 B price paying the cents with both the regen and Delta 7 getting so high up. And it's not only that the Delta 7, it's a weird dynamic. So it's not just that the Delta 7 is expensive and regen is expensive, is that the regen is connected to their original 3 agility, but when they're at Delta 7, they're flying at 2 agility. So essentially you have a 2 agility ship with a 3 agility pointed regen. And that just takes, it just amplifies their cost, and it's already really high to begin with. Because I like regen on for example Luke, but Luke you're paying less for that regen on Luke, and you're probably getting better value out of it anyway. But so I think that the CLTs are good, but the problem with CLTs is that they struggle to put out damage, and they can pop real easily. So that's I don't know. I think they're in a weird spot, and their swarms are a little bit more predictable than some of the other swarms. I think the Warthog swarm, while hits hard, it's a little bit more predictable in general than what you get with the malware or some of the 3 agility. The 3 agility seek swarms and stuff like that. 2 agility swarms and 1, or they just don't hold up as much.
I actually think too that the Republic swarms aren't actually meant to take on opposing swarms. They actually don't do really well against it. They're good for bringing out that firepower and catching stuff in those 4 to 5 ship lists at most, or if you catch a 3. Some 2s might be fine with it, like Boba's, I think, still pretty safe. But even their swarms aren't exactly positioned well against opposing swarms, and then their aces have to do either so much more with less with the point cost of 7B, or they have to do so much more to get that CLT damage in with the bullseye and have enough of a bid to catch opposing aces too. So they're kind of in the middle ground of everything, where they have push matchups a lot, but they don't really have a lot of good, I can beat this.
Do you want to put in any 2 cents there, Will?
No, I think Deslin in the chat summed it up perfectly, that Morris gives more rerolls than the Lats, and FOs are better than Torrents. I can't disagree with that at all.
100%. All right, so Fall of the Republic, well, at least for now, that's what happens in the movies. We'll see when they come back. The Actus 2 is coming up in the next upcoming wave at the end of the month, so soon. Maybe we'll see the Jedi make a resurgence depending on where those are point costed. I think that's going to be the question there. They do look like a lot of fun. They do look like a lot of fun. Competitive? We don't know yet. We'll find out. Let's continue now into the top 16. The competitor with my favorite name, Billy Baggins Northover. That's just super fun to say. Take it, Will.
All right, Baggins is flying double pancake. I don't know if ghosts are pancakes, but he's got 2 freighters. That's Dash Rendar with Bistan and Perceptive Copilot. Classic combination there. And Hera Sundula with Intimidation, Advanced Sensors, Zeb, and Saw Gerrera. Also a classic build for Hera. Pairing them both together for 198. This is just hard hitting. If the Intimidation triggers from Hera, you could be looking at getting 4, 8, and then a 5 dice attack. So looking at 13 dice at negative agility. That's bad. You might take some damage if that happens to you. I don't know how those matchups went, but people were bringing Dash to fight Nantax swarms. So I'd be interested how he handled all of the swarms in the tournament.
So we did get to see Billy play on the stream versus Nicholas Tobin, and oh no, was it against you, Marcel? Sorry, against Marcel.
No, it was against Marcel.
And
that was in the cut.
So he has a lot of guns. At least what we observed in the cut. The shortfall is once Dash goes, if you have something that can move after Hera, and you have enough time, you're going to be able to eat through the 0 agility and be ahead. Maybe Marcel, you want to talk a little bit about the squad since you faced it. You got to have some deep thinking with it.
Yeah, it's definitely a scary list, especially with low health ships that have the potential to pop easy. So you have to be really careful how you go at it. And the problem is because it's a turret and you've got, multiple shots and you got 4 dice coming in every direction and then Saw pushing crits. It's just really hard to approach it, especially if they're covering each other's angles. So I know I had a really hard time coming in and finding the right engagement to come in without getting blown up before making it to range 1, and then I was afraid to make it to range 1 on Dash, just to have Hera, pop me out of with that. And I think the main, a couple things contributed. One is I had 3 ships moving after his. I had 3 I-5s moving after his I-5s, so that kind of negated a lot of what he wanted to do. But also, I think tactically, what I saw his mistake to be is that he decided to fly donuts with Dash outside of he put all the rocks in one angle, and then he kept Dash flying in the other angle, which just kind of made it easy for me to try to stay within his range 1 bubble. Now, he did really good preventing me from getting shots because he kept on bumping me and doing things like that. So he flew it really well. I just thought, had he done that where the rocks are to prevent me from always being at range 1 of them, I think that could have made a huge difference. So that tactically, I thought that was the only thing that he might have made a mistake on, is just taking Dash out of the rocks. I agree.
Again, that game did get recorded. I do get triggered a couple times during that recording, though. I'm like, Marcel, what are you doing? I was trying to hold in my emotions. I was like, it's my boy. What's happening right now?
Yeah, like turn 2, landing on a rock.
Yeah, exactly. So have some fun watching that one, Marcel, when it comes out. I'm not sure if you reviewed it yet. I think you'll have some laughs there. Me and Ryan Farmer are going, what is happening right now? All righty. Next, we get into another 5A wing appearance here. ZZ, Tally, Greer, Ronith, and Merrill having a lot of those same tools that we talked about earlier. They're from Mike Maui Thompson. Now, Ryan, we have another first order list.
All right. We have Daniel Wachnick, first order with 4 cadets, all with automated target priority, and then Kylo Ren, with instinctive aim, advanced optics, and ion torpedoes instead of opting into the plasma or proton torpedoes. Gets a bigger bid. I think ion torpedoes are pretty underrated. 5 points only. They are an extended, not in hyperspace. Maybe why some people don't look at it that often. And other torpedoes are generally a little more desirable. But that 4-dice shot to deny that range bonus gets you an additional die, and all you're trying to do is say, I'm just going to ion you, so then all my cadets can block you and chew you up. Or Kylo makes you more predictable for Kylo to move around you. Just 5 points for additional oomph to get damage through. And I think there are places where ion torpedoes I think could be explored, but there definitely isn't a ton, which is why we're probably not seeing a lot of people actually take them often.
All right, and next, another top 16 list here. Benish Gillen. Benish flew this same list in one of the qualifiers and did really, really well. We didn't get a chance to get it on stream. I had it in my dock to hit it on a certain round, and he got eliminated in the top 16. But this is absolutely fantastic. Take it, Will.
All right, this is a double IG-88 aggressor squad. We got B and D. B is the double shoot your cannon. If you miss, you get to shoot a second time. And D is control your sloops to hard turns or straights, I guess. I guess that's just a regular K turn. Anyways, they're geared up the exact same here. Elusive, advanced sensors, ion cannon, auto blaster, proton bombs, contraband cybernetics, hull upgrade, and IG 2000. So you get a lot of, and I think this is really, these are expensive. They're 99-point ships. But he has figured out the exact problem with the IG-88 chassis, or the IG-2000 chassis, rather, that they need to K-turn all the time. So you need those advanced sensors. You need elusive for those defensive rerolls, and you can get it back. And you can really catch your opponent off guard with contraband cybernetics, being able to like sloop one way and then actually, while stressed, sloop or boost rather with advanced sensors and then sloop as well. Mm-hmm. And not very many people are familiar with the IG-88D hard turn sloops. Are they? They're not Talon rolls. They're still sloops, right?
Yeah.
But they're just with the hard template then. And once you start factoring boost before or before that hard turn, so 45, and then I don't even know. So I think it could catch a lot of people off guard.
Yeah, super cool list. Nobody else is flying these IGs like Benish is out there. He's tearing it up, got into the top 16. Next, we have Niels Voss, who brought what has now become a pretty well-known archetype. It's essentially 2 groups of 3. You got a Fang Fighter, you got a Tractor Beam M3A, and an Ion Cannon M3A. There's 2 sets of them. They fly around, tractor you first, ion you so we know where you are, and the Fang Fighter goes in for the kill. So 3 groups of those is really, really good. It is one of the fantastic swarms, probably made well known by Octocon out of Australia when he was flying it during the Space Jams. But absolutely fantastic, and obviously Niels Voss knows what he was doing. He did really well in the last qualifier as well. Because is this one hyperspace legal?
Yeah, he was our finalist of Mustafar.
Yeah, there you go. He was one of the finalists. So, yeah, I mean, it's a good list overall. Very, very good overall. Jeff Sanders in the chat calls it Octus Angels. I like that. All right, we got our first separatist list that we're talking about today.
All right, we have Benjamin Wetten, utilizing probably one of my favorite ratios of droid swarm styles where it's 3 hyenas and 4 vultures. The 2 of the vultures have just grappling struts. 2 of the vultures have grappling struts and Discord missiles. 2 of the Techno Union bombers have proton torpedoes and landing struts. 1 of them having Dark One probe droids, and the last hyena uses the Bactoid prototype hyena with the Diamond Boron missiles and landing struts, coming in at even 200 points. So sacrificing that 3rd Discord missile for upgrading to the Bactoid prototype with Diamond Boron. Since most of this time that I've seen this archetype, you bring the 3rd Discord missile and you keep the other 3rd hyena a standard Techno Union, and then put something like I've looked at Ion Torpedo, like mentioned before, Concussion Missile, Mag Pulse, Flavor to Taste, but they don't have the dual missile slot. And Benjamin, I would assume, really wanted Diamond Boron Missile for opposing swarms. As we've seen a lot of malware, people might try to go back on Nantex. We knew Sloan swarms were prevalent, so like I had talked about in many previous weeks, that we have a lot of lists with same initiatives flying seemingly close together. So that's some additional auto damage value.
All right, Marcel, I think we accidentally skipped over you. Take it, catch.
All right, we're going with Thomas Schulte, the catch. Flying Rebel Alliance 198. My good old friend Wedge with crack shot afterburners. Han Solo with trick shot and cannon jars. And finally, Jake Farrell with Predator and crack shot. 664 and Jake being able to basically Jake, I don't know how he flew it, but I would assume he flew Jake just as a wedge coordinator, a way to keep mainly Wedge focused and alive.
I've seen him actually follow Han around.
Really?
He keeps Wedge back as like a free safety to pounce on the first target that's comes within range.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so I mean it's a very solid list. You get 2 6s, and Jake is an A-wing. He's tough to kill, and he's always going to be tokened, and he's going to give free actions around. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see any of the games. I can't really say how he would fly it, but yeah, just on paper, it's a pretty solid list.
I can speak to it. We've seen him play it three times on stream, and the exact same turn of events happens in each one. Wedge is usually out in front. Wedge dies. He's sacrificed. He's the bait, but he usually takes something important down with him, and then Han cleans up the rest. And Jake, there's a 50-50 chance. Maybe he's alive. Maybe he's not. But really, both Jake and Wedge act as distractions in the list. They're good, right? They will do damage. You got Jake with Predator and Crackshot. You will see Ketch take them, and usually you have Jake doing the barrel rolls and passing off focuses to Wedge and Han. That's like his traditional use, but he's a I-4 A-wing. He has a lot of space and maneuverability. He will tap you at some point, and if you ignore him, we saw him start whittling away. I'm forgetting what it was, a large base ship, but another large base ship that he was playing against in the match. Really, really good. And then if Han is just, if you get to the end game with Han, and Han has taken very little to no damage, you're likely going to win. So it's just a really, really good piece. Let's continue. This is now our last top 16 list. We're going to be going into the top 8 pretty soon here. Andreas Tolman taking it here. Will?
Isn't he top 8?
Andreas? Nope. Top 16.
All right, we have more Scum and Villainy. This one's got 193. This is a Boba Fett, Nim combination here. We got Boba Fett with Lone Wolf, Maul, Proxy Mines, Hull Upgrade, Slave 1. And Nim has Expert Handling, Ion Cannon Turret, Proton Bombs, Seismic Charges, Hull Upgrade, and Havoc, so he can equip the Trajectory Simulator. I'm always surprised at Nim builds because I don't ever really know what the right one is. Obviously, Trajectory and Seismic are very good with Nim's ability to freeze a bomb. So you just kind of launch it where there's a cluster of obstacles and just have it hang out there, and hopefully someone will fly towards it eventually. But this is not too far off from the Dengar Boba +1 strategy of just shove Nim down their throat.
Yep.
If they don't want anything to do with him, he's fine with it. He'll just keep launching bombs and freezing them and shooting turrets or primaries or what have you. I do like the inclusion of expert handling here. I think that's the weakest part on the Skirk dial. They are really unmaneuverable. They are turreted ships, so to be expected. But that expert handling really spices up the I-5, turns them into a legitimate arc dodger at that point. Not always, but you know what I mean. He can actually arc dodge.
Yeah, I mean, he's got good pieces in the list. They do the work. Now, I want to take a second now in our next break before we get into the top 8 list, talk a little bit about the faction breakdown. Now, have you guys looked at the numbers yet? I'm curious. No? All right. Okay, so here. We'll have the chat guess too. Now, no cheating. If you guys know the answer in the chat, I want you guys to guess the most represented number one represented faction in the Galactic Championship in Coruscant. What do you think, Will? What's your guess?
Oh, it's got to be First Order. They're on the rise.
Ryan?
Is it just overall or is it improvement?
Just represented overall.
Scum, I think, still seems to have a lot in there.
Marcel?
I'm probably gonna go with First Order, but I think Scum is there as well.
So tight race, but actually the top represented list in Coruscant was the Empire faction. Excuse me, not list. It was Empire. 38 Empire lists overall, though both Scum and First Order super close. We had 36 appearances of Scum. Note about those. 19 of those 36, so a little over half, were Boba Fett lists, just to take note of that. And then in third place with 31 appearances, we had the First Order. After that, Resistance with 28 appearances, Rebels then with 23, Separatists with 21, and then we got a huge gap to the bottom with Republic only having 11 out of 188 lists. So if you guys are wondering about that spread, again, we'll go through top faction representation: Empire number 1, Scum number 2, First Order number 3, Resistance 4, Rebels 5, Separatists 6, and Galactic Republic in 7th place. Now, what I haven't run is like performance numbers, like, all right, the appearance versus how they did. That's something we can say for another day, and I'm almost sure one of our Analytica guys out there has probably already done that. The one piece of data we can pull for sure, we know that First Order and at least First Order and Scum have done really, really well. We've mentioned them quite a bit. Republic, not so much. Only 11 of them, and we talked about it. 68th place is the first appearance. Not a great standing for them. All right, let's go into the top 8 now. Another appearance of the Resistance. We got Brendan Morrissey bringing a 5-piece Resistance squad. We actually saw him play in the top 4 game, I believe, in Coruscant. And really, really cool squad. Played really well until the last match. He was super tired. So player out of Australia was saying that he was struggling seeing the board by the time that came around. But really, really great squad here. You had Merrill Coben with Intimidation and Automated Target Priority. Finn, decked out Finn here. You got Heroic, Optics, Perceptive Copilot, Rose with Crackshot, and 2 2 Red Squadron Expert T-70s. Those are the Initiative 4, right? Is it Initiative 4 or Initiative 3? 3. Somebody help me out. 3. Thanks, Will. And one of them had Heroic and S-Foils. The other one had Heroic and R6D8. That is the Heroic, not the Heroic droid, the Predator droid, Predator Plus droid there. So great jousting squad. I really wish we could have seen Brendan play this at when he was not as tired, because I'm curious to see how this. You know what? I wonder if we could get a rematch of that top 4 game. It was Fawn versus Brendan, and see if things would be a little bit different, because this squad has a ton of firepower if it's not bumping and losing actions and stuff like that. But again, congratulations, Brendan, making it into the top 8. Next, we got Tim King. Take it, Marcel. Now, Marcel, did you want to say something about Brendan's list before we moved on? I saw you unmute yourself.
No, I was confused when you were saying that in the top 4 match.
Sorry, top 8.
Top 8.
So
Okay,
it must have been top 8. Sorry.
No, I just didn't know if you were talking about like a previous tournament that he flew it also. But
no, it was this one.
Merrill wouldn't have
Misspoke.
counted. Okay. Tim King flying a first order list, 199 points with Malris, Gideon. So he's flying 2 of them big boys, which we actually saw in Mustafar. Kent Whitney was also flying that, 2 of them, with 2 TIE SFs and 2 TIE foes, which again I think is the exact list that Kent Whitney took to top whatever in Mustafar.
Ken was flying Tina.
Oh yeah, he was flying the blow up one. But still, same. I think it's just a 1 point difference or something like that, right? Very solid list, and those 2 big boys in the back giving coordinates and doing everything, giving rerolls, giving additional dice, just makes this list punch really hard. And then with the 2 SFs having double arcs, also just expands the number of places you can shoot with it. It's a really good list.
Next, we have Steve Cotillo flying a Imperial List. Our girl, Admiral Sloan, showing up again. Take it, Ryan.
Yep, we have Admiral Sloan sort of making a return in being used by Rear Admiral Shiranu in the Decimator. I feel like since the Nantex were such a force, that big base ship was a problem. A lot of people adopted the Fair-Off route, but Shiranu making a return with Swarm Tactics, Death Troopers, Admiral Sloan, Agile Gunner, Hull Upgrade, and Dauntless, whopping 106 points, and then 3 Alpha Squadron Pilot TIE Interceptors. A little bit different than the normal rack, and 4 TIE Academy fighters that we are used to seeing. But I believe, I'm not sure if Steve was the same person who brought this list, but I think we saw this list or a version of this either towards the end of why am I blanking on the name of the first series of GSP events that we had?
Space Jam?
Yes. I believe this we saw this either in Space Jam or early in the Galaxies.
Yeah, this almost exact list. I believe it was the Death Troopers Agile Gunner combination. Was one of the finalists, and that rack got tore up by Nantex.
Oh, that's.
I think it was the first one.
First Nantex, yeah.
When we didn't know.
We didn't know.
God, it was the first time.
It was the tip of the iceberg.
All right, let's keep it rolling here. Ernestus Ramanauskas. Take it, Will.
All right, Ramanauskas has got another Boba +1. This time choosing Nim again. Let's see if my memory serves me right here. Looks like the Nim is similar. Has expert handling, ion cannon, seismic charges, proton bombs, hull upgrade, havoc, trajectory. But this one also opts for the Dengar Gunner. If you attack Dengar, it either makes you get rid of your focus or a green token, or you could roll for damage. And then there's a slimmer Boba Fett with Maul, Proxy Mines, Hull Upgrade, and Slave 1. I do think it's interesting. So combining Boba with Nim, because Boba does normally carry bombs. This one has proxy mines because that's pretty good. I mean, you got rear arc, so most people are chasing you anyways. But it has got me thinking of trying to utilize that, maybe Nim flying over that proxy mine, doing interesting things like that, where you could drop one to close off a lane, then have Boba fly through it later on in the battle.
A lot of cool opportunities there. I do like the Nim Boba Fett combo. I think that's a really
Nim's
fun.
an I5, dude, and he.
Yep.
Let me double check while we're talking about Nim for a second. I believe Nim is only 2 points more expensive than the I2. Man, I haven't looked at Skirgs in a bit, but let me just double check. Yeah, the Loc Revenant, the I2 is 45. Nim is 47. Like, why
and
not?
I think, and the big thing on that one, I think that a lot of people might just disregard, is that Dengar on Nim.
Mm-hmm.
That Dengar on Nim probably keeps Nim alive a lot longer than he would, because he's got a pretty decent bid at 194. He's I5, and the ships that'll be hunting him down usually will be the more AC ships, and then they don't want to spend any tokens or maybe even pass up on shots. He was the most fun match I had the entire tournament, and he had me beat. In the very last turn, I took a range 2 shot at 2 double crits, and he whiffed on his evade, and I won by like a couple points. Like, he had me beat. He flew it really well. But that Dengar on Captain Nim, just it's mind games on him.
It sure is. Well, Marcel, while we have you chit-chatting here, let's start going over your list, because you're the next contestant here in our top cut, in our top 4, which we've reached now. Marcel Manzano.
Yeah, so I actually went with 4 A-Wings. And I decided to go with ZZ, Tally, and Saflak, all with the same loadout, which is Starboard / Heroic Rockets and Advanced Optics. And of course, you got to go with Merrill. Merrill with Intimidation and Optics. Merrill's just the best A-Wing out there after ZZ. ZZ being number 1, Merrill easily being number 2. The other ones, I would say that the other ones don't have an ability, but I actually ended up using Tally's Bullseye additional die more often than I did, especially when I got ultra aggressive to land that proton rocket. Just knowing that I would have an additional die when they're shooting back if I don't get to kill it, made me feel more comfortable playing ultra aggressive. Just I wanted to really just. I felt that 5 A-Wings without a bid would struggle against the Boba Fett's with Slave 1, the Supernatural Kylos, and everything else that it's Initiative 5. That, if you don't get the blocks, it's just going to be pretty tough. Obviously, Bartosz made it pretty far with the traditional 5. And I don't know, I just decided to go with this. And... yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to say. It hits hard.
Talk about Starboard Slash.
Yeah, we were discussing it before we came on the cast.
Yeah, I would say Starboard Slash is, that was probably the least effective tool in this bag of tricks. I would probably, in hindsight, probably would have bumped it up even to a crack shot, because I actually found myself using the Prockets maybe 90% of the time and still having bullseyes afterwards. So having, especially, with all I5s, having that bullseye more than once, I would probably invest in a crack shot or something.
What do you think about a swarm tactics out there to get Merle up to 5? This shot's not worth it, huh?
Not only that, I mean, there are 4 AC ships. They're all doing their own little thing. They're not
Well, I assume
flying.
if you close in on the target, Morrill's got intimidated. You might be range 1 from him.
Nah. I mean, I wouldn't suggest it.
That's fair.
I think choose your flavor. And starboard, not that it's bad, it's just I wasn't able to trigger it as often as I would have hoped. Maybe 3 or 4 times the entire tournament.
Did you find by any chance that the starboard slash? Did you ever overextend yourself trying to get the starboard slash? Did that ever happen, or did you fly it as if it happens, it happens?
I flew it as it happens. It happens. The only time that I purposely did it was against an I-6, knowing that it was going to happen. But other than that, I mean, how do moving last most of the time, how do you do it? I mean, how do you know it's going to happen? It's more than anything, it's a bump. It prevents people from trying to bump you too much, because if they try to bump you and they miss and you shoot past them, then you're gonna leave them without 1 agility less. And I think I must have forgot to trigger it a few times as well, because I usually it was kind of like out of sight, out of mind. So I didn't trigger it too often.
I mean, it's a new upgrade. You can't be expected to remember everything, right?
Did you ever use Sefton's ability? Can you name what Sefton's ability is?
Having a difficult name.
Like it is I-5. I think that's the name of the ability. The ability is I-5.
Yeah, the name of the ability is I-5. Now it might be useful if you're flying like a Poe that you want to protect, or you're flying a Ray or something like that. But with other A-wings, yeah, it makes no sense.
All right. So, by the way, Marcel's list is exactly the same as our other top 4 player, Nicholas Tobin, another Chicago area player. We got to see both Marcel and Nicholas play. Nicholas lost a really close game in the top 4 match. Watch that game. That's a really, really good one. And now we get to our runner-up, Fawn Longalan, the winner of 2 separate Galactic Championship qualifiers with the 6 Nantex, and brought a variation on it. Go ahead and talk me through it, Ryan.
All right, so in this variation, we have dropped from the Petronakis down to the Stalgazan Hive Guards at I-3. Still have a talent slot, so go with what's been working before, which is Crackshot. And then because 6 of them don't fit in a list with Crackshot, it would just be 6 all bare bones at 33 points each. Opting in for the Techno Union Bomber with no upgrades on it, because there's no room. It's flat 200 points. I guess I'm kind of surprised a little bit that Techno Union Bomber isn't, say, DFS 311 with struts that can just throw a calculate out, be an Agent Terex-like effect, where you, at the start of engagement, you take your calculate, pass it off to a friend. But, 2 more health, and, I-1, just like the other Vulture could have been. But we've seen Torrents. We always talked about that a while ago, how that 2 agility 5 hull just lasts a little bit longer, and so can the Techno Union. And realistically, if your opponent's shooting at it, it's either A, a distraction by design, or B, the player using the Techno Union Bomber probably overextended or put him in a bad spot. And from the looks of Fawn Longalan getting as far as he has and being as great of a player throughout all of the Galaxy's events, I doubt that was a common occurrence.
I mean, yeah, there was a lot of chat during the stream about what that last piece could be. And with those points left over, with those 25 points, you do have a lot of options there. And maybe that's part of the exploration. Fawn, I mean, there is Obviously, he's very skillful. I'm going to say that his list is fantastic, and everything else is a variation off of it. And we'll see, if the points stay exactly the same for a while, and as more local events start happening online and TTS. We also have the Lima Open coming up. We'll see what evolutions happen here. It'll be really, really interesting. And then last but certainly not the least, Will, let's talk about the champion.
Oh, yeah. I broke down literally the same list earlier. I was so excited to talk about it. That's Captain Farroth, Ruthless, Admiral Sloan, Hull Upgrade, 5 Sinar Specialists, Aggressors with Dorsal Turrets. Like I said before, this is so funny to me that it's some of the worst ships, worst in quotations there, ships in second edition. But man, if you just have that one double stressing mechanic and offensive modifier in your list, you are solid gold. It's I just don't know what to think about it. Someone said it in the chat at the start of the episode that Aggressors winning Coruscant is the most 2020 thing possible. Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
I just really like Sloan aside. Sloan is what makes this list. It's the only reason that you would ever see Farroth or Sinar Specialist Aggressors on the board. But I do love, I was trying to explain to somebody who doesn't play X-Wing about the narrative of the final. I was trying to explain to them that the Nantex were nuked from their homeworld, genocided from Geonosis. They crawled back with hive guards just to prove a point that they would be unstoppable. And you know who gets to meet them? The best ships with Crackshot, the best upgrade in the game, Aggressors with dorsal turrets. Probably the worst. Well, I don't think dorsal turrets are the worst upgrade, but probably one of the worst chassis and one of the worst secondary weapons you can even play in X-Wing. And that's it. Just I was trying to describe it as a real David and Goliath situation, right? I thought it had great narrative, and man, Dion, obviously you watched the final, but yeah, they took all 2 hours.
The whole thing, and there was stuff happening the whole 2 hours.
No, constant. I mean, you have 6 ships on 6 ships, so it's gonna take some time just to take all the shots and maneuvers and all those things. But yeah. They once they got into it, man, those Aggressors rarely disengage. You have a dorsal turret, you don't really need to K-turn or leave and come back for any reason. And they just got into that circle fight like a tornado. Nantex using their side arcs, Aggressors using their dorsals, and it just blow for blow.
Yeah, one of the pieces of symmetry between Charlie's list and Fawn is the ability to have that mobile arc, that mobile turret moving around. So one of the things that we observed when we would watch Fawn play versus front arc only ships is there is a distinct disadvantage there. There's times where the other ships, front arc ships, are having to K-turn, and the Nantex are still able to take modified shots or get those bullseyes on. The Aggressors do give. It's interesting. Are they the paper? Are they the paper to the Nantex rock? They have a good set of tools, or not even necessarily a good set of tools, but the set of tools that they do have, it works. It works good enough to be able to be good enough to get the win. It worked out.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah, Charlie did a great job by not just letting like 3 or 4 Nantex come in there and pilot skill kill or initiative kill with the crack shots, just eliminate one of the Aggressors right away. He really made them bait into that Captain Farroth, which is the real prime target of the list. allowing Faroff to eat some damage but not be destroyed before flying away. Very, very smart tactic by Charlie. And I think it's what ended up winning them the game. If those Nantex came in and just deleted 2 aggressors, it would be a much harder game for Faroff.
Agreed. One of the other things I want to talk about is, like we talked about last week with the Nantex going up in points and the Initiative 4 Swarm not being available anymore, we would see a lot of pilots just completely abandon the Nantex. And that's exactly what happened. There was only one other list in Coruscant that you could consider a Nantex Swarm, and obviously it didn't perform as well as Fawn did. There was no other Nantex in the top 32, which is completely different than every other Galactic Championship qualifier we were talking about, where there were several Nantex spread throughout. So the question here is, where's the middle ground? Where's the real place where Nantex will end up being? Because I think for the first event after it, mind you, it being an absolutely major event, the finale for the Galactic Championship, I feel like there's an overreaction, a bit of an overreaction. Fawn proving that it works will bring some players to start looking at it. The question that we can't answer today is, over time, are the points right for those Nantex right now? Is that where they're going to stay so that they see some play but don't get abusive? Or will they be changed in the future? We don't know. We're not fortune tellers, but it is something to wonder about. Now, the next thing I wanted to throw up there, and people love their stats here. Here's a quick graph of the Coruscant country dispersion. Now, not every slice is labeled because depending on how many players came in, it might be too small for it to fit automatically. It's not a super fancy graph. It's just the auto one that comes out of Google Sheets here. You can see, obviously, the biggest slice being the United States. If you put together those European countries, they make a good chunk as well. But you see tons of representation from around the world. Every single one of those slices is a different country. And it's absolutely cool. So if you guys were wondering how that dispersion was, there it is. Looking at the European countries, we got the UK with 8.4%. It seems to be the largest slice, followed closely by Germany and then Poland, and then it just kind of spreads from there. Canada 7.4%. United States, as I mentioned, for our audio-only listeners who are going to be driving in a car or something, United States made up 45.3% of the participants going into Coruscant.
And South Africa made up 0.5%.
That's right, and that's exactly right here. Super tiny, but it is marked. I made sure to make sure it was marked. South Africa, our champion, 0.5%, which I think was just him. Okay, so congratulations to Charlie being our Galactic champion, our inaugural Galactic champion, because yes, Galaxies will be back. First time caller in the chat says, hey, do you see how South Africa's on top? That was not an accident. All right, so we're going to go into our list of the week. Hopefully you enjoyed that stuff. Brian, you wanted to say something?
Yes, I have my stats.
Oh, some stats. Hit me with them.
So I had a conversation with a couple people when we looked over these lists as the games went on in the cut. And I don't know if if this is a trend we just didn't notice or if something this is even worth looking at. But I counted the amount of lists that had either 50% of the list or more, or at least the focal point of the list was a multi-arc, or at least had an arc other than a base front arc. Out of the 32 lists, 17 of them fit that criteria at 53%. All of the top 4, that's 100% of the top 4, all fit that criteria. 6 of the top 8, which is 75%, and 10 of the top 16, which is 62.5%, all fit the criteria of your list is mainly based or has main pieces of side arc, turret arc, multi-arc ships. Are we looking at an era of 2.0 that is actually turret wing?
That's
Oh, it's been turret wing for a while, man. Not gonna lie.
well. So the turrets, what the turrets do, right, is they allow flexibility. Flexibility is the most consistent thing throughout all the top 32 lists. Is the more flexibility you got, the more things you can do and options you have when it comes to the decision making, engagement, activation, the better you're off here. Turret wing, I think people have definitely identified the fact that if I can be in a less obvious spot, if I have more than one choice of where I can go and I still get a shot, that causes more. That's just more permutations that my opponent has to think about. Let's talk about my least favorite ship to play against. I've talked about it publicly many times. I do not enjoy playing against RZ-2A wings. I really don't. Okay, will I play against them for the practice? Yes, but it's just the truth. It's like, hey, they can be in a few different. They can be in double the places where they can get a shot. They're either going to shoot you out the front or out the back, and sometimes they might be able to pick both depending on their maneuver. And it's the flexibility of the turret. It's really, really good. And versus,
now, I will say what these stats don't put into perspective. I just looked at the top cut. So what I didn't put any time into or look at is what the percentage of the rest of the entire event was, that criteria of a turret-based or multi-arc-based list, and what their cut rate actually getting to the cut versus, say, those basic front arc lists were. Mm-hmm. So I don't have that comparison. That obviously could sway this argument one way or the other. I'm just looking at the cut and seeing, as you go up the results, getting better at the top 16, top 8, top 4, those percentages only increased.
Yeah, I think you'll even find it more. I would go as far as saying just having more arcs, not just rotating arcs or double arcs, because I think if you were to take the Morrissey list with 6 or 7, they still have 6 or 7 arcs. You can take, it's just like you have 3 turret arcs at 6 arcs, or you take 7 ships at 7 arcs. So having more arc and covering more space with your guns, I think probably is more so than having a turret. It's just having more things out there, and having more arcs out there makes lists like the 3 the 3 AC, Vader, Soontir, things like that. It makes them a lot more hard to play, or the Jedi makes them a lot more hard to play because you're constantly having to dodge 6, 7, 8 arcs, which is near impossible. So you're at the mercy of the dice, because there's no positioning that you can do. I mean, you can minimize the amount by hiding behind rocks and taking opportunity shots and playing the slow game. But that's what I would say, because a lot of the ones that didn't have a secondary arc probably had 6 or 7 ships out there anyway.
Yeah, as much as I could think that, in my mind, I could see people could consider a droid swarm with grappling struts turret-esque feelings. They just turn on a dime if they get on a rock per se, or they look at those FO swarms or the Seeks where they have that one turn, they just turn on a dime. I can be pointing my arc somewhere else. So you could consider that as well. But even Boba Fett, front arc, back arc, slave 1 boost, that pretty much acts similarly as a rotating turret as well. So it's your good assessment on that, Marcel, that it could also be the amount of arcs in those type of swarm lists that contribute to the similar feeling and effect.
More arcs equal goodly. It's just the truth. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Ryan, for breaking that down. That's absolutely, and that would be interesting to go through the rest and see what people are bringing. See
the cut rate difference between a front arc base list and a turret or multi-arc one.
And then you start going maybe down a line of, do you need to start, I'm going to use the word taxing. Do you need to start taxing these ships, these pilots that have all these options, right? It's about finding that balance, because obviously there are pilots who still want to fly aces, but with the number of arcs around, it gets really, really hard, because their whole thing is that they want to dodge arcs, but we need something to balance them. Right, something has to exist to counter them, and the question is: do we have too many ships with too many arcs right now out there on average? And that's what we got to figure out.
Clearly, there are some that aren't working either. Like, we see no Y-wings anywhere. Sad Y-wings. But
Very
they can
sad.
bring all the turrets they want. You can fit 6 dorsal turret Republic Y-wings in a list. That's a ton of arcs. But that's nowhere to be seen. So there are ones that are working and there are others that aren't too.
All right. So that has been our discussion on the Galactic Championship, everybody. We have lists of the week. We have some questions of the week that revolve around galaxies. But I said it quite a bit during the stream. I'll do my abbreviated version here. It has been fantastic to put on this event series. It really, really has been. Everybody that's been involved, thank you guys so much. And that's everywhere from staff all the way to players. You guys have, we together have done an amazing feat. Being able to stay engaged and create an important set of community events that has just continued to keep people talking about X-Wing. And if we're talking about X-Wing, that means X-Wing is alive. In these times where there's so much crap going on in the world, we got some fun out there, which is what we're here for. Now, of course, we talked about it. The Galactic Championship Series does not signal the end of Gold Squadron online events. We got the Flight Club Championships. The summary of that is on the goldsquadronpodcast.com website. You can go start taking a peek at it. Tickets are going to be going on sale on the 20th, assuming that I have everything set up. I think I do. I need to comb over it a few more times. But let's go ahead and jump into our lists of the week. Who wants to go first?
I am ready with mine.
All right. Now, remember, everybody, our lists of the week, we've created a new channel on our Discord called Resources. And underneath there, we are putting the original lists of the week, whatever the person submits, and the modified one. So if you want to mess around with them, maybe make your own versions, have those discussions, head to the Discord, !Discord if you're watching live, or click the link in the description down below if you're listening later. Let's jump into it. Your list was, I'm sorry, which, you're taking the Resistance one, right?
Resistance, that came from Steve C. As you pull it up here, I'll read what he said here. He says, I know you guys like odd lists for lists of the week, and here's an odd one for you. It's the Resistance! Does this strategy actually work? You select up ahead of their ships, then 2 turns, you bring in Poe and ZZ, outmaneuvering behind. Is there anything there? I think there is something there, but probably not with expensive ships like this. Ryan ran It's the Resistance in the first Space Jam, and we've seen Kalen Wong use it as well. So it has utility, normally in 5 or 6 ship lists, though. But we're going to try to get it with Han Solo and Poe Dameron coming in for It's the Resistance. You got it pulled up. Perfect. So the original list comes with Han Solo with GA-97. That's the Resistance droid. Rigged cargo chute, hull upgrade. Poe Dameron has outmaneuver, R4, and integrated S-foils. That's old Poe. And ZZ with heroic and outmaneuver. So
I don't think
as a note,
I don't think Steve watched our quick tips video on outmaneuver.
No, it did not. There are a couple of things that specify arcs and not weapon arcs. And outmaneuver happens to be one of those. It does not work with turrets. So you might as well just delete all of ZZ, because I'm deleting all of ZZ. Go. That's not the ship we're gonna have in there. And what we're going to do is we're going to get GA97 off of Han and put it into the third ship. So you can take GA97, the hull, and the rigged cargo, and stripping off that Han. Getting a new Han up in there. I did try to get like a C-3PO long-range coordinating out to Han Solo if you had to calculate action on his action bar. But the points really don't work with Poe in there. So we're going to get, let's go thematic, and I'm just going to put BB-8 in there. He seems like the one who would be calling Poe for backup. So I'll give him the resistance droid. BB surprisingly quick with his free boost and barrel rolls. His blues aren't great, but, every bit helps. And we got 30 points to work with. The first thing I'm going to do is put on that overdrive thruster. Man, if you haven't tried it out, put that on the board. Because Poe is quick, and he's going to need to be quick because he's coming in the fight late. Really can keep that outmaneuver going with the long barrel rolls to arc dodge, or a nice 2-bank boost to get behind or on the side of somebody. And I think, unfortunately, my points, I think, are clear for that. We're going to put all of those other points into Han Solo. I'll tell you my favorite Han Solo build. And it might be, because we're going to need defensive. And this is my thought process here. So BB is just hiding in the deployment zone or whatever he can do to not engage, essentially. Not until Poe comes in. Then he can come in and start blocking and stuff. So Han's going to have to hold off a whole list by himself. I like to put Rey on him. We don't normally see Rey because Rey's normally flying the ship. Rey's got a force point that works for blanks as well. Super good. Automatic dice conversion there. We're going to put Trick Shot on him because he's going to be hiding in the debris fields with one of my favorite Resistance crew members, Corsella. Corsella lets you, after you fully execute a blue maneuver, you can remove all your stress tokens. So you can boost, and then 2-bank the next round. I think 2 banks. Yeah, 2 banks is their blue maneuver. You 2-bank, but if you 2-bank using that blue maneuver onto a debris cloud, Corsella will clear the debris cloud stress as well, allowing you easier trick shots. It's basically like discount Dash Rendar out there. But that's going to keep you using those obstructions, like the same thinking of the cargo chute. But so Han can deploy heading into the debris fields using Corsella to keep his actions up, and trick shot, so he's actually shooting off some good dice there for modification. And that should provide a big enough distraction to have that Poe come in. Overdrive thrusters. Unfortunately, I don't have any. If I could squeeze out some points, if I didn't put Corsella in there, I would definitely reach for both titles, the Black One and Rey's Millennium Falcon. Break it down for him, this final version here with Corsella.
So we got Han Solo, Trick Shot, Corsella, and Rey. Poe Dameron with Outmaneuver, R4 Astromech, Overdrive, Thrusters, and those S-foils, and then BB-8 with GA97. Noted and added to the archives. So now we're going to move on to who wants next? Ryan or Marcel?
I can take it.
Okay. So this is a Republic list. I know all you Republic lovers out there be like, we need some content. Here you go. Here's your content right now. Some lists of the week coming from Steve C. No, sorry, Lies of the Jedi, coming from Sheer. And I didn't pull up the right list. Did I click the wrong one? Try again. Take 2. There it is. For real this time. All right, take the wheel.
Sorry, I had to cough. All right, so the list is a Warthog with cluster missiles, Wolf 5s, and synchronized console. A second lat with cluster missiles, Ayala, synchronized console, and then two V19s with cluster missiles, synchronized console. Both of them the same way. Comes in at 198 points, and it's a ton of points for 4 ships only with a couple missiles. I know that the cluster missiles, you're trying to get like a bunch of rerolls, and so I understand what it's trying to do. It's trying to give everyone focuses with a Yala, and then it's trying to get cluster missiles on everything. But at the end of the day, you only have a total of 4 arcs moving at initiative 3 and initiative 2, and yeah, I think it'll be nice whenever it works. But then even the cluster missiles, you have to your opponent has to play into it, because they can easily just spread out and be further than range 1 away from each other, or there's other things that they can do to try to counter this. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by dropping. Sorry if you hear motorcycles in the background. You're going to start off by dropping to kind of keep it a little bit similar. We're going to drop that second lat, 72-point lat, Ayala and all. We are going to drop 5s from Warthog. While I like 5s, I think we just need to make a little bit of points here. And we're going to upgrade Warthog's missiles from a cluster to a diamond boron missile.
Got it.
All right. Did you delete 212?
The whole ship?
Yeah, just get rid of it. We don't need it.
But he wanted double lats. How are you gonna get another lat in there?
No, we're gonna build the list that works.
No. Okay, keep going.
All right, where are we? So we are going to hit a copy on one of those golds to get a 3rd gold squadron in there, and upgrade that missile into a concussion missile. So you can have a little bit of punch at range 3 as well. Just one of those. And then that leaves you with enough points for a 5th ship. And let's add a Y-wing, a resistance Y-wing. And on that Y-wing, we will put, just like, we don't need Goji, just a regular one. On that Y-wing, we're going to put an ion cannon, a synchronized console, and a plasma torpedo. And the plasma torpedoes become really good on the Y-wing with synchronized console, because it's a lot easier to get that off. It's a lot easier to get that target lock in there. So that's, you get a completely another ship, and that plasma torpedo is the one that you're going to lead off with, and hopefully you get the ion cannon working if you don't have arc. So again, it just ultimately gives you a little bit more mobility. But Warthog wants more ships. So actually do one more thing. Just get rid of all of the missiles and all of the plasmas and all of the synchronized console. You don't need them. Yeah, get rid of the synchronized console also the plasma torpedoes. And just hit copy on one of the V19s.
You can keep the plasma on the Y-wing if you want it.
We don't want the plasma on the Y-wing. We don't need no Y-wing.
But you can if you want. You have the points.
I don't want it. No.
Oh, okay.
Get rid of that. And then get rid of Wolfpack too. We don't need, since we don't have any missiles, we don't need Wolfpack. We're just gonna keep it nice and simple. Then we're gonna add on the gunner. We're gonna add Commander Cody. Basically, if why isn't this working on my screen?
Cody?
Commander Cody, who says after you perform an attack that missed, you can basically give them 1 strain. And then to guarantee that we miss, we're going to add suppressive gunner as well. So we're going to strain them. We're going to deplete them, unless they want to take a damage. And then, so we're going to miss on purpose and then give our people's rerolls and have 5 support ships with an ion to just have, as we were talking about earlier, it's just having arcs. This has 1, 2, 3, 4. That has 8 total arcs out there in play.
All right. Well, with that second variation, I'm going to post both. One's a little more weird. One's a little bit more. This one's a little bit more meta. And we'll see which one Sheer is a fan of. So we end up with the second variation having Warthog, Suppressive Gunner, Commander Cody. We have 4 Gold Squadron V19s with nothing, and the Red Squadron Bomber. That's the BTLB Y-Wing with Ion Cannon Turret. All right, last but not least, we have our Imperial List that Ryan's going to be taking a look at.
All right, we have Imperial List trying to focus on the usage of TIE Defenders from Deja Mu.
They
Have 2 Onyx Squadron Ace TIE Defenders, and then Fifth Brother with passive sensors and homing missiles. All of them, every ship at I4, 3 ships, simple. My one issue with Defenders not named Rexler and not named Delta Squadron Pilot is that either A, the named ones are too expensive, or B, the generic ones, the problem that they have is because they're I4, they're more susceptible to that blocking potential. Without any shenanigans with investing into, say, advanced sensors or Ryad's flexibility on her maneuvers, these Onyx Squadrons, with little investment other than just being defenders, are probably actually better off just dropping to Deltas. At I1, you can guarantee whatever maneuver you want to do is going to fit. You're going to have your token stack. You're going to be extremely hard to push damage through on. That leaves you a lot of points, though. And I think we can adjust by actually swapping Fifth Brother to Grand Inquisitor. I obviously like the Fifth Brother homing missile passive sensor trick. It's nasty, but I think if we have Grand Inquisitor and we put Sense on him, Grand Inquisitor already likes to be in tight with those knife fights close to range 1. He doesn't always have to spend that force charge to use Sense. He gets those defenders a little more board state knowledge on their targets, so they know when they do their maneuvers if they're going to either be chased, if they can take opportunistic target locks, if they're 4K and who they're targeting, who's going to still be in their arc. So I think that has a lot of value. I've been flipping back and forth a lot as to which missile I want to consider putting on Grand Inquisitor, because I look at the cannons for the Deltas. It's not much there that I like. Missiles aren't really necessary. Sensors, I did think about passive sensors on the Deltas because it gives you the flexible locks, but if I made the investment on Sense, I feel like I might have the knowledge that I need, and most defenders like to have that focus evade. So I think I'm considering between Mag Pulse on Grand Inquisitor to really neuter enemy offense that could be going after either the Grand Inquisitor himself or the defenders, making them even more annoying to try and kill. And that Mag Pulse does work at range 1, so the Grand Inquisitor does have the option to use it at that tight close range as well, if he's already arc dodged or did a maneuver that is out of arc of the ship that he's attacking. Could help his friendly defenders out staying alive. Or he can go homing missile, still just as annoying, you just don't get that extra damage, or the basic concussion missile, because that's a solid 3 dice, range 2 to 3 shot. As much as I know Will likes to use Grand Inquisitor as just a base ship, I mean, you can keep the 9-point bid, but I'll say for now, just for the fun of it, see how it works, let's go Mag Pulse, and then just stick with a 3-point bid. So it's a Delta, another Delta Defender, and then Grand Inquisitor with Sense and Mag Pulse Warhead. Have fun with that missile whenever, however you want to try it out in the future, though.
There you go, Deja Mu. All right. Now we're going to close out with a couple of questions of the week. They're actually related here. The line of questioning started coming from MJ, and it said, if/when FFG gets back to in-person play major events, Adepticon, Gen Con, Worlds, Nova Open, etc. Given the popularity of the TTS module and the ability to play X-Wing more quickly and easily, not to mention the fact that you can get more rounds in on TTS, as Dion noted during the final stream on Sunday, do you see a major shift, major meta shift when we get back to in-person X-Wing? And I'm sorry, that's actually not the question. Do you see a major shift back to in-person X-Wing and having the online play become more of a niche thing? Or do you still think online play will stay as strong as it is now? So I'll give my 2 cents first. Okay. So basically asking when in-person play happens, will TTS dwindle? So online X-Wing has always existed, right? Vassal has always existed. And I think one of the things that is true is that a lot of people, before COVID-19, most players that there's a lot of players that had never played on online X-Wing because they didn't have to. But now that people have had that bite at the apple, yes, there's pros and cons to it. Obviously, we all would rather play in person. I think that is a given, right? That we love X-Wing. But the connections you make with people around the world, the opportunity to have things like the Galactic Championship Series and have these different connections with people who wouldn't necessarily be able to travel, I think that it'll still exist. I still think that once in-person play comes back, will it take a step back? Yes, I do think that it will take a step back. There will likely be less online events because people will be throwing in-person events. I'll tell you my personal goal. My personal goal is the 3 event series that I'm running. Now, mind you, they might tighten in scope. Maybe there's less qualifiers or something like that. But I still want to do something that looks like Space Jam, Flight Club Championship, and Galactic Championship via TTS every year. For sure, like the Galactic Championship is 100% for sure. I think followed by that is probably the Flight Club Championship because it is a stark difference from the Galactic Championship. And then Space Jam is kind of in the middle. Those are just kind of like exhibition tournaments. That's probably, if any of them disappear, Space Jam series would for me, but that's because there's other stuff going on online. But yeah, I mean that's what I think. Do you guys have any thoughts outside of that?
I think it's more people got exposed to it. I think people had that it's got that barrier of entry into the online play. I think it was the same way initially when Vassal, people were going on Vassal, and there was a barrier of entry of people who just wouldn't go there, but once they went in there, they played more often, even to the point of using that as prep for major events to get extra rounds in, because maybe in your area you can only get 1 league night, but you want to practice more often. So I think we're going to see a lot more play online even after things go back to normal. It may die down a bit immediately after because everybody's just gonna. I don't even know if it will, because I don't know at what pace things will get back to normal, because things will get back to normal at different paces in different parts of the world. And we may have, until there's something that's like a true vaccine or something that completely gets rid of it. I think there's going to be ebbs and flows where there's going to be I think 2021 is going to be it's not going to be gone in 2021. I guess that's what I'm saying.
Right. There's not a magic date, right? That it just disappears.
Yeah, and it'll be different for every country. If you're in New Zealand, you don't care because you have 0 cases over there. If you're here, you're afraid to go throw out your garbage. So yeah, I don't know, but I think overall, like I said, it's got that barrier of entry. Like you got, once you do it once, and you learn how to play, and you find out it's not that scary, and you find out it's not that different, especially if you're talking to your opponent, and you still have that connection with the other player. It's not like robotic, and it's not that negative play experience you get when you're playing like a shooter or something like that, where everybody's just trolling each other and calling each other names. It's more civil. I think a lot of people will stick around. I know I will. I'm going to keep playing even after stuff goes back.
Oh, yeah. Ryan or Will, anything?
I think beside in Dion, you mentioned that you're gonna, still want to host some series, maybe, whether how far downscaled it is by comparison, because your schedule would be crazy traveling around when we get back to that. But I think we'll definitely see an uptick in self-organized leagues or weekly nights of play that people do online. We've seen Vassal League. We've seen Kyber Cup. We've seen Hexile Gaming host a couple of league-based things. Kyber League, I think, is what they've called theirs. A few others here and there that have started to pop up. I think it's just going to be more of a common thing than it used to be prior to COVID, because there was only maybe a couple leagues here and there. And now I think they'll either pop up either as just consistently as often as they are now. They'll keep rolling through it. Or just literally have dedicated nights where like everyone, like GSP declares Friday is TTS night and Tuesday is Vassal night, and like whoever plays whatever, like everyone just hops on and gets as many games in as possible as an entire community, right? Like just put a night together where anyone around the world between X time and X time, if it's any time around the world, it could be the entire day, like whatever. People can hop on at different times. People are available at different times. So, and just make 2 days out of the week separate for whatever mode they want to play in, whether it is TTS or Vassal, because people still do have their preferences, and both are still very viable to use.
Absolutely. I mean, I'll tell you, like stream schedule wise, like I have it already cleared with Mrs. GSP. She says, obviously, the TTS community is we have grown this as a community, right? So like our TTS streams aren't going anywhere. Like that's still going to exist. But when we can go back in person Wednesday nights, that's when the Gold Squadron in person X-Wing will be. Like I'm gonna take the camera rig again to pastimes. We'll set it up and we'll play our plastic spaceships in person. But I'm not gonna abandon TTS like that. It's become part of our community, right? So there'll be, like you said, there's gonna be another night, another GSP stream, whatever that ends up looking like when we get there. We'll find out. But yeah, I perfectly said there, Ryan. Will, any the cherry at top? You got anything for me?
I agree with almost everything. Just want to add that I think that the forced online play has created a more global community, and you're not able to play with those people. And outside of like these huge events like Worlds, like UK System Opens, big events and conventions that we can't go to anyways. So I think there's always going to be that need for more remote players, like myself. I don't have a game store nearby, and other players spread across all over the world. You showed up that pie chart all over the world. So those players who, if I don't know what the Field of Dreams thing is. I should. I'm from Iowa, but
if you build it, they will come.
Yes, exactly. That people are looking to play games. So if you create the room, someone will play X-Wing with you. Absolutely.
Yep. There are connections that have been forged that aren't going anywhere. And I think that the two concerns that I have going forward, then they are real concerns, is you know, as the waves have come out, I have bought my ships, and I think it's important to continue to support FFG in the creation of the content, because let's not beat around the bush. If the sales go down, which I mean, obviously in business right now, probably sales are just down across the board anyway. But there is a threshold where they say X-Wing isn't making us enough money. The game is complete. See Star Wars Destiny, right? See Imperial Assault. Like just gone. Now, X-Wing does have the benefit, the fact that there are outside of gamer people who buy the ships because they are great models. They are just pretty. They all are also just pretty things that fit on a shelf, and they look great. Which also I think has to do with the fact that the reason why we don't have as many reprints as people want. Competitively, it's because of that crowd. Is somebody must say I already bought that ship, but anyway, that's my number one concern. So if you guys can, if you obviously there's everybody's in different financial places. If you can buy ships, make sure you guys are buying your ships. The next wave's coming up. You know, if you want to get somebody a cool ship for Christmas or something like that, that's awesome. But yeah, that's something that we got to keep in mind. And you know, I think that it's just important to continue to recognize the fact that like I love how you guys said it. We have a global community. We have a global community, and we would likely not have a South American champion in a scale an event series of this scale without the situation we turned into.
South African.
Sorry, what did I say?
American.
South African. Yeah, sorry about that. I saw SA in the chat. Yeah, South African champion. So amazing, guys. We'll be back next week to talk about just some next cool stuff. We got some shenanigans coming up. We also have the Lima Open, run by some of our South American brethren. We're going to be streaming that on November 28th and 29th. Take a look out there. I know Hexiled Gaming is doing the Hexiled Gaming Championships sometime in December. If you guys are looking for another event to do, we're not going to be doing any events in November like Gold Squadron run events in November and December because I'm going to be working on that Shipping Mountain. We're still going to be streaming. We got the weekly content, and we also have some. We're going to be running a charity stream here. I'm still in the planning phase for that, but I would definitely want to do that in this holiday season. So we'll talk some more about that later, guys. But thank you so much for hanging out. For everybody here and around the world, no, around the galaxy, Gold Squadron out.